Greetings! My name is Crispy, or Draco, or Dr. Draco, or the British Uncle Kage. The final one may sound a bit pretentious, but bear with me here. Let's just say that it's scientist's pride. Part-time scientist, part-time cosplayer. As you can see at the moment, I'm sort of cosplaying as the Milgram experiment. So, keeping with the science theme there. Let's go with some context. You have had a wonderful day out interacting with the kiddies, interacting with the adults, interacting with other furries with your fursuit. Very pretty, very nice. You've spent minutes, probably hours, sweating into this thing. And of course, you crumple it away into your bag and then take it back home. But of course, you've now got to get to that horrible little bit of storage. Now, it's not that bad. But let's go over why do you need to take the effort to store these things. Let's start off with the monetary aspects, which is fursuits cost money, especially if you've taken one by Mixed Candy or Mercury if you're in the UK. I think that one you kept doing, Skunky's one, is still around. I've forgotten their name. But anyway, fursuits are getting better nowadays, and people would like to see them again, and they would like to see them again in the same condition that they saw them left. So it costs a lot of money. You obviously want to preserve it for as long as possible so that it can stay in the same condition for several years. The best kept ones can last for over 10 years. But when you look up information on how to clean, how to prepare fursuits for storage, it tends to be along the lines of you have to use very special tools, you have to use very gentle motions, which yes, but you have to use certain chemicals like teddy bear cleaner, which you know is expensive and is a mild form of bleach if I recall correctly. And it's not really necessary. I mean, if you're going to be treating it like a museum piece, then yes. If you've got the money to do that, then yes, go ahead and do that. That's fine. Leave this video now. I'm here to sort of take a more reasonable stance and offer some inspiration, I guess, but also offer a bit of encouragement for you to do it. I'll also go with what you really shouldn't do to preserve your fursuit, and well, I suppose we'll make a start. Let's go ahead. Prevention is better than cure. So remember, sweat, it smells. Perspiration is not actually smelly in itself. It's the bacteria around your skin that gets brushed onto the fabric, and the bacteria eats at the stuff that's in the perspiration, and then that makes it stinky. So it won't be smelly from the beginning, but it will increase in smell over time, and it's quite likely the bacteria and maybe yeast, yes, and even mould can get in, and that will start attacking the fabric as well. But anyway, enough with the horror story. Prevention is better than cure. The main issue with smelling and the need to clean it tends to be because of sweat. So if you wear a bodysuit, some people wear diving suits, which can be, it's fine if you just want to, if you're happy to sweat that extra because you're sweating into something that isn't porous, so to speak, that isn't going to wick away the sweat but more contain it, to the point that when you actually take the thing off you can turn the diving suit upside down and you can see a little trickle of water come out, and that was all the sweat you've collected. Horrible. Also the risk of athlete's foot, and if you're really going at it for long periods of time, maybe even trench foot. But again, don't let me scare you here with all these horrible nasty words. So here's a nice little bodysuit, long johns, that will sort out your arms, that will sort out your legs and your torso as well. For me, some people, they wear balaclavas to cover the head because the head sweats a lot. So I wear a swimming cap because I don't tend to sweat around here, but I do tend to sweat around in the forehead and in the scalp. So let's cover that bit up. It's also just slightly porous as well, so perspiration can wick away, and there's a controlled release, which then that will touch the fabric of your fursuit, and then that will wick away slowly. But it's a controlled release. That's another thing as well. So okay, heads, shoulders, knees, toes you don't need to worry about because you'll be wearing socks. Knees and toes, knees and toes. Arms, ears, mouth and nose. Arms, hands. I wear what's known as cotton inner gloves. These are used in science. These are used in science laboratories to for those people who don't like wearing the little disposable rubber gloves, or they find it hard to put them on. So what they would do is that they would put a pair of these cotton inner gloves on, all feels very soft and nice, and then the rubber gloves come on a lot easier, and they come off a lot easier as well. For me, I tend to use these, if you're a scientist, if you like your scientist words, I tend to use this when I'm doing spectroscopy because it's a lot easier to grip onto the sodium chloride plates or the cuvettes. Anyway, science shop over. Use these, again, it's cotton, it's a barrier to prevent sweat, and if you do sweat too much then it's a controlled release as well. Okay, so that's it for prevention is better than cure. Let's go over the cleaning itself. Right. Most of this is pretty much the same, but I'm just going to go over each one in turn, and obviously I'm going to be jump cutting through the parts that are the same, so it keeps this video nice and unique. So this is my fursuit gloves. This is minky fur, very soft texture. Most fabrics that you tend to get for fursuits and the like, mascot costumes and all that, are artificial fabrics, as in they're not cotton, they don't come from natural sources, they tend to come from oil. So, well, their origin is oil, they're artificial fabrics, and for a little bit of chemistry, these are called non-polar fabrics. Odour molecules tend to be non-polar. Fabrics like this are non-polar. So, in the world of chemistry, as a rule of thumb, like attracts like. So, fabrics like these have a higher chance of picking up odours, which is a shame, which is another reason why you've got to take the time, make the effort to clean this kind of thing. So, there's two ways you can go about it. One, which is just assume that the odour molecules are there, you've not rubbed it in, there's no stains anywhere. So all you need to do is just get rid of what's any odour molecules that are just sitting there. And for that, it's just a simple answer. One vacuum cleaner. Not that difficult. If you've got an upholstery attachment, then good for you. This will make your job a heck of a lot easier. Me, I don't have an upholstery attachment on this, so if I can find it. Oh dear. So I have to use the base nozzle, and that is going to be a bit awkward, but it'll get the job done. As we can see, there's the exhaust. Try to make sure that the exhaust is pointing away from what you're cleaning, just to make doubly bubbly sure. Excuse me, I have to go towards the camera to actually do this. All the way in there. Push you up. It's exactly what you can imagine. Just run the nozzle through. This might not be the perfect solution, but it is a solution. It is better than nothing. Basically, you just run it over, as you do. I should also highlight the importance of using a clean table as well. So obviously you don't want to be picking up any stains or odour molecules that are on the table, of course. But obviously you've been sweating inside, so what you may need to do is that you need to shove the nozzle in. Excuse me. You may need to shove the nozzle inside and just give it a good rummage around. Just something. Right, there we go. Okay. Remember when I mentioned bacteria earlier on? Well, again, if you're that worried about bacteria, don't worry. Oh, yeah, sorry. One thing I should also mention is wash your hands, because obviously you don't want to put sticky mitts on something that you're going to clean. So if you're worried that your hands are still not clean after you clean them, wear another pair of cotton inner gloves. It's nice and good, you get the grip. Anyway, sorry, back to the point. Febreze is it's a bit of a divisive thing when it comes to fursuit cleaning. So I'm going to tell you as a nice little chemist, and you can make up your own mind as to whether you would like to use it or not. Because you tend to get a lot of people saying, oh no, Febreze, that doesn't clean things, oh it's horrible. But it's because they're thinking about it the wrong way. Let's just take this out of the way. What is Febreze? Okay, cyclodextrins is the main active ingredient of Febreze. Cyclodextrins are a group of glucose molecules joined up together, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to double figures. They're all together in a ring formation. This produces something that's a bit of a barrel shape like this. So then your odour molecule, which is just sat down there, let's do that. Your odour molecule, which is just sat down there, and then the cyclodextrin gets sprayed on, and the idea is that the odour molecule gets trapped in there. It's not going away, and that just sits there. Now, of course, most people just think, oh, I'll just spray Febreze and that's it. That's it. dirty bits gone, odour gone? Yes and no. Do remember, cyclodextrin and your odour molecule is still on the fabric. Now, why? If you're doing it on clothing or your sofa or curtains, then that's fine, because curtains and all that, they get used, they get pushed around, and so this thing gets thrown away as dust, and then you'd use your vacuum cleaner every now and again. You know, even students like me, we still use a vacuum cleaner. You would be vacuuming it from the carpet or whatever. It's just rendering that odour molecule inactive, but you still need a way to get rid of it. Hence, if you would like to use Febreze, Febreze is a good idea for getting rid of odours, but do remember that there are other ingredients as well as cyclodextrin, so always test on an inconspicuous area first. But most importantly of all, after you've sprayed, let it dry, and then after you let it dry, vacuum clean it off. Now you can use Febreze or any other pound shop equivalent. I suggest though, because odour tends to occur because of those nasty little things called bacteria, it's best to get an antibacterial one. This one being from Asda, Walmart if you're American, an antibacterial one, which also contains some scent as well. You get orange flower and papaya. So, simple stuff as you do. You just take your fabric, give it a good spray. Don't saturate it, don't make it sopping wet, just spray on, leave to dry for a short while, and we'll just set that aside for now because that's what I will do. I will let that dry. Let that dry. Next on the agenda, feet. Feet can be a bit of a problem because not only do you have the dirty little fur around it, but you've also got a sole and also some bits of fur that have been touching the ground up, touching the ground up, touching the ground, and so it could have all kinds of little stains or stones or stuff. This can be the nasty part. Now, for the bottom, for areas of fur underneath, I dread to say, but let's be honest here, it's a goner. It's done for over time. This may be one of the first parts of your fursuit that degrades. It can't be helped, I'm sorry. But, of course, there are measures that you can take to make sure that things stay as reasonably clean as possible. Again, vacuuming, making sure that the inside doesn't smell, because that will smell, so you may need to put a spray in there, and obviously you've got to wait a bit longer for that to dry because it's now inside, and then have a go with the vacuum cleaner inside, give it a wiggle inside and out just to make sure. Sometimes fur can be a bit of an arse. There can be, not only is there your odour molecules, your stinky little things, but there's also little grains, little bits of dust and all that, and sometimes you need to give it a bit of encouragement to get out. So here's one item. This was 10p. Asda were trying to get rid of it. It's a very interesting little brush for a dog. So it's got a push button on the back, and as you push the button, all these hairs come out. Well, all this wire hair comes out, and yeah, I can sense some of you sort of wincing right now, thinking fur that doesn't grow back and wire brush. Well, This is where you need to have a gentle touch. Just gently rake over it, gently. You don't need to scrape it like you're a Middle Ages housewife trying to use arsenic on the table. No, just gently running over. Because remember, you're using the vacuum cleaner afterwards, so that'll hopefully you're just dislodging any nasty bits of dust or dirt, and the vacuum cleaner will do the rest. It's a double team job. Now, when you first do your fursuit cleaning, Preservation Act kind of thing, just make sure that you've got a plan. Now, don't worry if it's your first time, you're not going to have a plan because you won't know how you go about it. But don't worry, just dedicate an hour to the whole thing, and then you'll figure out which parts of the fursuit should you start with first, and then, oh yeah, sorry. In the sole, you might want to use the brush to sort of scrape away any of the little cruft that's in between. But anyway, an hour at most is how long it's going to take. But over time, you'll figure out the order of which you should do these things, and you'll manage to get it all done within 10 minutes at best, maybe 15, 20 minutes. Okay, so again, I've got to let that dry because I've been deodorising the inside of the foot. Okay, so if you can see, not a lot of fur hairs on there. There's some of them, I'm afraid there is some of them, but not an awful lot. And the beauty of this brush, all you need to do is just push the button and the hairs retract, and there you go. You can take the dander out. And if you look at the dander, you'll find out that there's all sorts of nasty little bits of twigs and dust and that. So it has done its job. There's a little bit of sacrifice, but it's not a dire situation. It's what needs to be done to preserve the fur. A little bit of degradation to preserve it, if that makes sense. In the bin below the camera. Excuse me while I interrupt myself here in my own video. I'm just editing this at the moment, and I forgot to add one very important thing. Now, I've seen plenty of fursuiters just after they've had their fun, and so they're getting dressed into their civvies. What they do is they then pick up a can of antiperspirant, which in this case is represented by a roll-on deodorant because I don't use aerosol antiperspirant. So they use antiperspirant or they use deodorant. Some of them even use odour eliminator aerosol spray, which in this case is represented by a can of Oust. Right. If I see you doing that again, I'm going to go up to you and I'm going to point and laugh. You want to know why I'm going to be pointing and laughing? Well, there's two reasons why. Let's go with the fact that it's an aerosol, for one, because aerosols contain butane. What is the propellant in these aerosols? It tends to be butane. Butane, let's just put it in simple terms, butane is a non-polar molecule, and you're running it against a fabric which is also quite likely non-polar as well. Please look under the heading, can I use baby oil with a condom, to try and figure out the answer to that question. If you're using antiperspirant, you're going to be laughed at double as much, because why is an antiperspirant an antiperspirant? Because it contains aluminium chloride, or as it says in the ingredients nowadays,
aluminium chlorohydrate because it readily absorbs water. What this stuff does is it basically just clings onto the skin and acts as a physical barrier against the sweat glands, therefore preventing you from sweating. That's fine when it comes to skin. It's also fine when you're applying it on yourself before going, before you're going to do your fursuity stuff, because it's on your skin, it's going to stay on your skin. And if you're going to be wearing a layer underneath, like the diving suit or the long johns, then you've got any of that aluminium chloride is going to be rubbing against that instead. That's fine. If you're going to be spraying it on the fursuit though, you're spraying a sticky substance onto it, which is, well, amongst many things, it's going to be losing the shine, it's going to feel sticky, it's going to act as something that can attract more odour molecules onto it because it's sticky. Bacteria might stick onto it as well, and well, just basically it's a stupid idea. Please stop using antiperspirant on your fursuits.
Everything has been nice and simple. Use a vacuum cleaner, maybe use the liquid if you so desire. But it becomes more of an issue when it comes to the fursuit head. Now, fursuit heads, they tend to be made out of fiberglass or resin, or usually for nice cheap ones you've got a balaclava base that's made out of lycra or cotton as well. Somebody I used to know even used plaster of Paris as the base for their head. Anyway, whereas that can be different, usually you stick on lumps of foam, you shape it up into the nice shape, and then you fur it. So you have 3 layers. The outside, reasonably washable, the inside, washable but it's stuck on, and the middle part, which is foam. Now this is the little issue, because if you're using an antibacterial spray, the active ingredient is quite likely methyl isophyazolonone. Nice long words, don't be scared. And this is coming from a scientist, don't be scared of that word. Methyl isophyazolonone is a rather good antibacterial agent. The main issue you would have is if you're going to breathe the stuff in, and if foam is very good at absorbing stuff, so if you're going to spray something in there, it might get stuck into the foam, but then there's also an equal chance that it will come there is an equal chance that it will come out as well. So what you need to do, feel free using the spray inside. If it gets absorbed in there, just make sure, above all else, just make sure that you properly aerate it. Give it some good ventilation and let it dry. And then again, you go in there and you go in with your vacuum cleaner and you suck it all out. Now, not only is there minky fur in this one, but what you tend to get in the majority of fursuits is actual long pile fur. And so this has some long pile fur over here. So how do you sort that out? Well, again, a vacuum cleaner will do the job rather well. Again, if you want to spray, use the spray. If you want to groom it a little bit to try and loosen up any horrible dander bits, horrible nasty bits, I used to have a little doll's comb. It came out of a Christmas cracker. So you just run that over. That isn't pulling the long pile out, it keeps it nice and fresh. Also, at times, helps the little bits of dander go off into the atmosphere. I don't know where I put my bloody comb, so I'm just using this little attachment that was on a USB vacuum cleaner, and you just run it over. I mean, a comb or a brush, again, just nice simple strokes. Don't be rough. I heavily suggest you don't use the wire brush in this occasion. You just run it over, nice and smooth. Even if it doesn't get rid of the dander bits, what it will do is that it will loosen them. So when you use the vacuum cleaner, you can use a vacuum cleaner to run over, and your loose particles are likely to escape. Again, it's a bit awkward because it's not like a foot where you can do nice long strokes. With this thing, again, I'm going to use my little wire brush and very gently. You're just going to have to do very small strokes, running around. Again, this is to loosen any little particles that you had on your adventure. Of course, just gentle, 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 gentle. Don't be rough, because if you're rough, then you're going to be pulling fur out. Fur that's not going to grow back. And then you might have to go back to your fursuit maker and say, oh, I need it refurred. And they'll say, well, that's awkward, you may as well just buy a new head. And then you've got issues with trying to find the right colour because it's now out of stock or it no longer exists. And yeah, all sorts of things. Prevention and preservation is the best cure to keeping your fursuit nice and happy and making everybody happy about it. And if you excuse me, I'm going to, oh no. Just before I go and have a clean, this poor little thing, his eyes, the irises on his eyes were a really deep blue. Now obviously when you sweat and you're breathing out, what you're going to do is, obviously that's going to go a bit pale. Really, because it was a water soluble paint. Oh dear. Water soluble paint, it's just a bit pale down there. Sometimes it can't be helped. I suppose the best solution to that is Photoshop if you're going to be showing off any photos and you want to make it look like that the eyes are brand new. Or you can just have a go at applying them yourself. Have a go. Experiment. I mean, don't treat it like it's some golden idol. The whole purpose of fursuiting is to experiment. Experiment different ways of putting it on, experiment different ways of cleaning it. Obviously with cleaning it you have to be a bit careful and a bit more considerate. Different moves that you can make, different actions, different reactions, all kinds of things. Fursuiting is experimentation. Don't just treat it as some strict rule-based thing. I mean, whatever Uncle Kage says, this do and don't thing, don't worry. I mean, he may be a scientist, but I'm a scientist as well. He may be a doctor, I'm also a doctor. He's not a doctor of medicine, and neither am I. So, just do things. I encourage you, just bloody do it. Right, if you're still watching, obviously I'm putting the vacuum cleaner over the fur, sucking up any loose particles. If you want to use the spray, use the spray, but again, let it dry. Of course, because this is non-part fur, always go in one direction and keep with that single direction. Down, lift up, down. Because if you just go back and forth, you're going to be messing it up and possibly tangling the fur, which is going to be a problem. Ah, this fellow's got a muzzle. This is fun. Carefully open the muzzle, put the thing inside, and then go wuzz, 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 wuzz. In and out, gently of course, gently. But you just keep cleaning the fur by sucking it up. That's that done. Storing your head. Right, this isn't clean, so I can't put that in there. Do your best to keep the fursuit head's shape by putting other items of clothing in there. If you want to put bubble wrap in there, that's fine. If you want to put some old cloths in there, that's fine. You want to put some gloves in there, that's also good. Because the gloves will also act as a dehumectant as well, which is good for preservation purposes. But just want to keep things nice and neat. Putting things in bags is a nice idea. It prevents dust from getting in. Right, whilst I clean this, I'll just go over a little point. If you're really, really careful and you've done most of your adventuring in the nice clean indoors area, or you've kept a nice clean outdoor areas, that's all fine and good. Sometimes though you will get stains. You'll get stains. And that's nasty, of course. We hate stains. Stains on fur is a pain in the arse. And again, people will say, oh, you need teddy bear cleaner for that. That may be true, especially if you've got very sensitive fabric. But then it's your fault for choosing a sensitive fabric. You're in a fursuit, you're going to be interacting with kids and adults. You need something that's just a little bit hard wearing. So it's your own darn fault. But all the same, it could happen. Maybe that fur that you really, really, really wanted was really, really, really sensitive as well. I'm sorry. You might get a stain. The best thing to do is to just be gentle and just gently go at it piecemeal. So just get a little washing up sponge, I would say. Get some dish detergent, rinse it under water. So just a little dot of detergent, say. And then just sort of gently run over in circles. Circular around there, nice and gentle. If you've got one of those washing up sponges with the scouring pad at the back, you might want to, if you're feeling brave, turn it over and just sort of have a go with that as well. But again, nice and gentle, nice circular motions, getting it done. You may not get rid of the stain completely, but you got rid of the majority of it, and so well done. Just nice and gentle. Nice and gentle, just run it through, don't push down, just run the brush against it. And again, you get your vacuum cleaner, and then you just rummage in there, suck it all up, suck up all the nasty bits. Remember, the majority of your stench and nasty bits are loose particles. You might want to have a go. This football has claws on it. It's very pointy, so if you're storing it somewhere, it could also start jabbing your box or bag. So, best thing to do, get some bubble wrap. Just scavenge some bubble wrap from somewhere. Down there. bubble wrap on the inside, and just wrap it up. There are many different wrapping techniques. This is just my one. That's the way it is. There you go. Nice and neat. You put it together, you're all done, you're all happy. You didn't need any special chemicals, just stuff that you can buy in the shop. You didn't even need the lab specs. Well, right, nothing. Everything is fine. The general point is, take the effort, take the time, 10-15 minutes after you've done your fursuiting. Using a vacuum cleaner, maybe if you want to, maybe use Febreze, maybe use antibacterial Febreze. Using a brush, I'm sure you can use a hairbrush as well. But again, just choose one that's not too soft, because otherwise it's not going to loosen any particles, any dust and all that. And nothing too hard. And just nice gentle motions, following the grain of the fabric. But also the need for experimentation, because everybody's different. Everybody's fursuit is going to be made out of different materials, and not if it's the same material, it's going to be from different manufacturers, and so they need to be treated differently, or they have different quality. But again, don't worry. Don't freaking worry. It's all good. Just sit back, have a cup of tea, and enjoy. Because if you're not going to enjoy fursuiting, even to the point of not having fun cleaning up behind yourself, it's going to feel like a chore. And if fursuiting is going to be a chore, then it's probably not right for you. Do note though, there is a difference between being nervous and having to sort of encourage yourself to start wearing your fursuit, and feeling that it is a chore, that it's some everyday job and it is boredom. Because usually in the first instance, once you've got the fursuit on, once someone has come up to you and said, "Oh, fluffy thing," and you've had a play, then you've relaxed and you're okay. Also, if you're relaxed, you're also going to be less tense. If you're less tense, then you're going to be acting a lot better. Your movements will be smoother, will look funnier, less sharp, and also you'll be sweating less. Sweating less means that, well, need I say any more? Sweating less is a good thing when it comes to wearing the equivalent of a 10.5 tog blanket surrounding your entire body. You'll notice that I haven't mentioned bodysuits. It's essentially the same as the feet, and the hands and the head, just that it's less awkward in my opinion, because all you need to do is put an upholstery attachment to your vacuum cleaner and then just sweep downwards. With your brush you'll be sweeping long strokes. So that's why I haven't mentioned it. Also, I didn't use it. So I haven't used it recently because I only use the full fursuit on special occasions. But why am I still here? Why am I still here babbling on? Well, basically because I love fursuiting, and so let's just leave it there. Have a nice day. Don't forget to experiment, and don't forget to enjoy your fursuiting. So it's fine for the fabric. You know, this is designed for fabrics. Yeah. It'll wick off as well, vacuum clean. The foam part is a problem. And if you're going to be using antibacterial, I mean, if you're going to be using normal Febreze, that's fine. But again, if you want to sanitize the thing, then you've got a wee bit of an issue in the fact that antibacterial versions of this contain methyl isophiazolinone. That is one of the active antibacterial ingredients that you get in these fabric refresher antibacterial type things. Methyl isophiazolinone. I think there's other ones as well. Oh yeah, methyl chloroisophiazolinone, which is meant to be a safer alternative. Now, don't go all Daily Mail on me and say, oh no, horrible long words equals bad. It's not harmful, but it's still not a good idea to spray something like methyl isophiazolinone inside something where there's foam which is going to absorb it and probably retain it for a long period of time. Now there's two ways that you can go about it. One, don't bother and just put up with the stink. Possible. If you're really careful. If you're going to be careful, if you're going to do, as I said, prevention better than cure, and you're going to wear a balaclava or a cap on top, then you're preserving it through that prevention. Good for you. If you decide not to do that because it's not comfortable, I know with something like this, it's pretty tight. But then that's needed because otherwise sweat will drip through there, it'll go into your eyes, and that's horrible. So you need a nice tight one. You might not be happy with that. So if you do decide to actually spray the stuff in there, it's not harmful. The active ingredient is not harmful, I can tell you, but there is no excuse for not taking precautions if you have any doubts at all. And I don't blame you if you have any doubts. Even us scientists have doubts, and even when we're told, oh, this is safe, it's always good practice to doubt if you really do have doubts. But anyway, enough of that pep talk. Why am I holding that? I don't know. Probably because I'm excited. Because, oh, look at him, he's so cute and he's fluffy. Yep, the fluffy bit at the top. Sorry, I am getting myself heavily distracted.